Prior to the Second World War, Berlin's railways resembled those of London and Paris, with different lines from different places having their own grand terminus stations in the city. The first, in 1838, was the Potsdamer Bahnhof. The others were Anhalter Bahnhof, Dresdner Bahnhof, Görlitzer Bahnhof, Frankfurter Bahnhof, which was renamed Schlesischer Bahnhof and would later become Ostbahnhof, Stettiner Bahnhof, which was later renamed Nordbahnhof, Lechter Bahnhof, and Hamburger Bahnhof. Hamburger Bahnhof closed in 1884, with its services being transferred to Lechter Bahnhof, though the station building is still intact and is today an art museum. In 1882, the 4-track elevated Stadtbahn was built, running east-west across the city, running from Schlesischer Bahnhof with stations including Alexanderplatz, Friedrichstrasse, Lechter Bahnhof, Berlin Zoo, and Charlottenburg. Between 1936 and 1939, the north-south S-Bahn tunnel opened, linking Stettiner Bahnhof, later renamed Nordbahnhof, through Friedrichstrasse and Potsdamer Bahnhof to Anhalter Bahnhof, allowing suburban trains to bypass the surface termini. After the Second World War, many of the terminus stations found themselves in West Berlin or along the border itself, and so were closed. Let's have a look at what remains of some of those stations, starting with Potsdamer Bahnhof, the site of which is now Potsdamer Platz, with a long green strip of land giving away the former location of the station. Nearby is the former Anhalter Bahnhof.
This bit of facade is all that remains of Anhalter Bahnhof. Prior to the Second World War, this was Berlin's main gateway to the south, with services to Frankfurt, Leipzig, Dresden, Prague, Vienna and even Rome. However, when the Berlin Wall went up, Anhalter Bahnhof happened to be on the western side, and so it had its services diverted to Ostbahnhof. Anhalter Bahnhof closed in 1952. It's just a very bizarre kind of bit of structure that's just been left here. There's now the rest of the site is now it's playing field, whatever funny building that is. Honestly, don't know why on earth they would bother leaving this, but I'm very glad they did. It's a nice little remnant. So it turns out there's quite a bit more than just that chunk of the facade left over from the Anhalter Bahnhof. I've just found this completely by accident, so I wasn't planning to come back here, and yet here I am. Just walk through the path in the forest and you will see bits of old platform. At least that's what I think these are. I don't know what else they would be. They look very suspiciously like railway platforms, and they just happen to be in the site of a former railway station. So I think it's fairly logical to conclude that that is what they are.
Between the approaches of Anhalter and Potsdamer Bahnhof lay Dresdner Bahnhof, as well as various freight yards and depots, including 2 roundhouses which are now the German Technology Museum, which I've explored in a separate video. In the north was the station known as Stettiner Bahnhof, which was renamed Nordbahnhof in 1950 and closed just 2 years later, though the S-Bahn station below ground is still called Nordbahnhof to this day. The main train shed has long since been demolished, but a small part of the old suburban station can still be seen and is now a restaurant.
Now I may be sorely mistaken here, but this in front of me looks very much like an abandoned railway viaduct, and a very, embankment, not viaduct. And it looks like a very wide one as well. It's not the approach to Nordbahnhof. Not sure what it is. Let's go take a look.
Further east was a freight yard which originally bore the name Nordbahnhof and is thus generally referred to as Old Nordbahnhof, though in its later years it was known as Eberswalder Strasse Freight Yard. Today it's a park known as the Mauer Park. During the Cold War, trains from around East Germany were concentrated to Schlesischer Bahnhof, which was renamed Ostbahnhof in 1950, and nearby Lichtenberg.
And so here I am at Berlin Ostbahnhof, which first opened in 1842 and it was originally known as the Frankfurter Bahnhof. During the Cold War, Ostbahnhof was East Berlin's main station. Along with Lichtenberg station further to the east, Ostbahnhof served trains towards Dresden and international trains to other Eastern Bloc countries.
Long-distance trains to West Germany, known as the Interzonenzüge, served the West Berlin Stadtbahn, calling at Charlottenburg, Berlin Zoo, and terminating at Friedrichstrasse, just over the border in East Berlin, which served as a border station. I've talked more about that in part 1. At the end of the Cold War, a new solution was needed for Berlin's rail network. The new Deutsche Bahn, formed in 1994, decided on what they called Piltz Concept, or Mushroom Concept, which would see a new north-south tunnel built through the city centre, roughly following the alignments of the former approaches to Lehrte and Potsdamer Bahnhofen, crossing the Stadtbahn at the former site of Lehrte Bahnhof, where the new Hauptbahnhof would be built. The line would meet the Ringbahn at a Delta junction in the north, west of Gessenbrunnen, and cross the Ringbahn at the south at the newly rebuilt bi-level interchange known as Südkreuz. Most long-distance IC and ICE trains would serve this tunnel instead of the east-west Stadtbahn, with stations such as Berlin Zoo, Friedrichstrasse and Ostbahnhof losing much of their significance as a result. The crown jewel in the centre of the Piltz concept was the new Hauptbahnhof, a modern glass palace, a bi-level interchange with 16 platforms, the perfect number of platforms for a city's main station. 6 of these platforms were above on the east-west Stadtbahn, served by S-Bahn and various regional and some long-distance trains, whilst 8 would be located below ground on the new north-south tunnel, with levels in between for shops and other amenities. Berlin Hauptbahnhof represented a newly unified and modernised Berlin, and has become a model for other European cities modernising their railway networks. It opened in 2006, marking the culmination of a 17-year project to reunify the city's transport network after the Berlin Wall. So there we go. Job done, no other major projects to do, nothing else to finish in Berlin. That is, of course, except for the airport. During the Cold War, Berlin had 3 airports, Tegel and Tempelhof in West Berlin and Schönefeld in East Berlin. Tempelhof closed in 2008 and is now a park that you can walk around.
And you get this distinct sensation that you're about to get run over by a plane. Obviously, there haven't been any here for 11 years.
After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it was decided to give the city a brand new airport to replace Tegel and Schönefeld, to be built immediately south of Schönefeld, reusing one of its runways. Berlin-Brandenburg Airport was due to open in 2011, but its opening was delayed, then delayed again, then delayed again, and as of recording in June 2020, it's still not open. Brandenburg Airport is due to open in October this year, but I reckon the chances of that happening are pretty slim. It's become a long-running joke in Germany, and to be honest, it's become a pretty big stain on a reputation of a city that's otherwise been able to get on with and build new projects like the aforementioned Hauptbahnhof. So when it comes to airports, the job of repairing the division of the Berlin Wall remains unfinished. At least for now. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.